I want you to look at me as a fellow student or as a friend. I want you to look at me as an informative person. Today I want you all to be prepared for the zombie apocalypse. This topic is a very dear topic to me. I absolutely love the culture of it. I love it that I can go to Christmas and talk with my family about all of this stuff, as well as there's just so much information I know about it. I know about the culture, I know how to survive it fairly well, and I feel like I'm ready to teach all of you guys. So, zombies have already taken over movies, books, and video games, and now their next goal is the world. And this is why I'm here today, to make sure that you guys can survive the zombie apocalypse. Several people that you're going to be hearing from, or at least I'm going to be speaking through. Mr. Newton, biology teacher here, he's helped out a lot with viruses. Eric Anderson, a Eagle Scout, has helped out with first aid, and then my cousin Brian Mayer, who is the end-all be-all when it comes to the knowledge of zombies. And he is by far the most helpful. So, as I said before, zombies are my life, from video games such as Dead Island, to movies like Dawn of the Dead, and to books like The Zombie Survival Guide by Max Brooks. As well as I get to discuss them with this guy, Brian Mayer, one of my all-time favorite people. So, let's get straight into it. Could it happen? Obviously, you're not going to take this information seriously if you don't even think it can happen to begin with. There are two possible theories that are out there. One is radiation, and the other one, mad scientist, virus is created, oh no, we're screwed. So the first theory is that of radiation, and the radiation theory is brought up by George A. Romero in his first movie, Night of the Living Dead. It's the idea that the radiation brings back the dead. However, in the sense of real humanistic ideas, it wouldn't bring back the dead, rather it would cause a tumor in the brain that would end up suppressing the human emotions and bring the person back to a feral state, thus creating the zombie that we know of as attacking, sprinting, killing anything that's in sight. The only problem with this theory is the fact that there is no bite or spread of the virus. Thus, radiation is an idea, but it can be quelled very quickly, and isn't that one that's known throughout. The next theory is that of a virus or even biological warfare. You take a guy like Stalin or even Adolf Hitler, people who want to rule the world. What better way to rule the world than to have everyone's government fall to crumbles because there's riots, but you have the vaccine for it? Or the other possibility is a scientist, if something goes wrong in the protocol, they touch this virus, then they mess with this one, all of a sudden they now have it contaminated, it spreads to 3 people, 9 people, so on and so forth, and the zombie apocalypse occurs. How this is possible is between 2 viruses. The first of which is the rabies virus. And the rabies virus allows a person, it puts them back into that feral state of mind. They immediately start attacking what they can, and thus you have the spreading of the bite. They want to bite, eat, so on and so forth. You add that to the virus Ebola, and now you have the full-on zombie. The Ebola virus quite literally liquefies the innards of a person. The rabies virus would infiltrate the brain first, and then the Ebola virus would continue to kill the body. Thus you get the killing and the reanimation. Now you have the bites, the spreading of the virus, and the attack, and the body creates its own energy by eating itself. So that's how you have the decaying flesh. So that's the zombie, right there. I hope you can run. So now, how to survive it. There are 3 main parts to survive the zombie apocalypse. First of which is the zombies, a pretty obvious one. The second are the rest of the survivors. There's 3 main types, and I'll get into all that later. And the third is survival in a general sense. First aid, food, water, all that good stuff. So surviving the zombies, you need to worry about 3 things. You need weapon choice, take proper safety precautions, and always have hideout. A hideout is not going to be a place where you just bunker down and that's it. No, you're going to get screwed. So weapon choice, good versus the bad. A good weapon is one that is a melee weapon. You don't want to create a whole lot of noise, so that's why it's also quiet, and it allows you to keep your distance. You don't want to get into hand-to-hand combat with these guys. It's not pretty. The bad requires fuel, such as ammunition or gasoline. They're close range, such as a knife or a dagger. Again, don't want to be close, and they're very loud. The louder a weapon is, the more zombies you're going to attract. The more zombies you attract, the more likely you are to die. The X factor for a zombie is a horde, so you want to avoid that as much as possible. Your best choice of weapon is going to be a long-handled spade. With the long-handled spade, you now have it for a multi-use tool. You can dig, you can use the sharp end as a cutting tool, or you can add a weight to the end of it, or even sharpen the end of it, and now you have a blunt weapon as well. It keeps your distance because of how long it is, and it's just an overall great multi-use tool. The worst choices, and a lot of people don't suspect these to be the worst choices, automatic guns and chainsaws. An M16 rifle is an automatic high-powerful rifle. So yes, it's going to take down the zombies. However, it is also loud, noisy, thus attracting more zombies. The other problem is when you have an automatic versus a semi-automatic, you're going to waste all your ammunition because you're going to become panicked and not actually aim and shoot. You're just going to be spraying. Ammunition is going to be very sparse when it comes time for the apocalypse because people are going to go for that first. Chainsaws are also a terrible idea, and power tools of the sort because, again, loud noises uses gasoline. That gasoline you can use for cars and getting mobile and moving out. So you always want to be wary of the two choices. Again, melee, probably going to be your best. Safety precautions, a lot of people aren't going to like these. Short hair. You want to have short hair as well as tight clothing for the sole fact that zombies like to grab and clench on. As soon as they grab you, they're going to pull with their full force. They don't feel any pain, they don't feel any suffering, so they're not going to know that they're hurt. They're just going to keep pulling, and that's when they lunge into your neck, and then you're turning into a zombie. Know the area you're in. Be sure you get a map of everywhere so that you know the safety routes, the escape routes, and all that good stuff. And then finally, you always have to be aware. Be aware of how many zombies are in the area. Be aware of who's in your party, who's doing what. Always make sure that everyone has a specific job and everything is set to a T. You always want to be ready for whatever happens. So now hideouts. I want to do a quick little take. How many people would choose the church as a better hideout? Got one? You know, just holding out in the zombie apocalypse. First place that you're going to go, the church. Alright? And how about a cemetery? No? Not at all? Your better choice is going to be the cemetery. A lot of people are going to think, go to the church first. Church, holy, zombies can't get in there. Zombies don't care about that holy rule like they did in old movies. They're still people, in a sense. Your cemetery is going to be your best bet. They have tall fences, they're an enclosed area, as well as not a whole lot of people are going to be there. So you don't have to worry about the virus spreading quickly, you don't have to worry about being trampled. It's just the best bet. Now again, who would choose Mall, such as Gurney Mills or Mall of America, or heading north to Canada? Who would choose the Mall?
I feel that I have more fun.
How about going up north to Canada? As scary as that seems. Canada is your best bet. The farther north you get, the sparser the population, the less likely you are going to be attacked. Malls, a lot of people are going to think to go there again, it's that people factor. You got to get away from crowded areas. The heavier populated places are going to be the ones that are hit the hardest, as well as you're going to get causes of trampling, you're going to lose people in your group, it's just a whole mess. So immediately zombie virus hits, you got to get to a place that isn't really well populated and hold out there for a little while, and then you can start moving, then you can start gathering supplies and scavenging. So now the second part, the survivors alone. There are three main types of survivors that are going to be out there in the apocalypse. You're going to have your bandits and thieves, and these are the people who are going to go out and they're just going to attack you and you alone, and they're just there because it's a lawless society now. They don't care about the zombies, they don't care about your lives, they're just there because, guess what, there's no government, who's going to stop you? They're the people that you want to save your guns and ammunition for. If you end up using a gun or having to use a rifle, on such people, after you shoot, run. Get away from the area because that's when zombies are going to start attracting to that area. But you're going to get into a lot of firefights with these guys, possibly even hand-to-hand combat. Always be wary of who's around in the city. And the second are the scavengers. These people aren't going to necessarily mess with you as much. They're there to get their supplies and get out. Granted, if you're in the way of their supplies, then you might be a bit screwed. So always be wary of them. Try and work with them so that you can split up supplies, because you're always going to be looking for supplies. The final people are the same people. The people who know what's going on, who are there to survive and survive only. These are the people that are going to be your best friends. I don't recommend staying with them for a very long period of time, because again, you want to try and keep your group as minimal as possible. But they are fantastic people to trade with, whether that's ammunition for supplies. You can even trade just information alone, and try and figure out, what places are kind of you're not going to go there, what places are still safe. And it's just a good idea to try and trade people, but again, try not to stay with them for a very long period of time. The more people you have to worry about, the less likely you are to survive. Finally, the third step, survival. The three main parts I'm going to talk about: first aid, finding food and water, and then you must learn professions. And I'll tell you why in a bit. So first off, first aid. You always want to be wary of what cuts you have, how you got them, how each person in the party got it. If it's a bite, no go. You're going to have to eliminate that person. It's a safety for the group. You want to try and bandage up wounds immediately and clean them. If you don't clean them and bandage them up, they're going to get infected, and the person is going to end up slowing the rest of the group down. You always want to be moving quickly, so you should always have a first aid kit and always be ready to bandage up wounds. You also want to be aware of cuts because there is the possibility that a zombie virus spreads from blood-to-blood contacts, and that's if you get into a skirmish and even so much as a zombie claws, you can still end up getting infected through there. So always be wary of what cuts, anything like that, and just always think smart. First aid can usually be pretty simple. If you don't have bandages, you can use a piece of cloth, shirt, anything like that. Always have a first aid kit handy. And then even tools such as these, you want knives and other axes, shovels and sorts, so that way you can distill water if you need to, or if you need to hunt or anything like that, you have those tools. The second part is finding food and water. In the beginning, you definitely want to try and get non-perishable items. These are the items that are going to last the longest and that will keep you surviving throughout the apocalypse. You want to make sure you ration them out though, so you're not eating all of them within the first week, or else then you don't have food, you starve, and I'd rather be taken down by a zombie than starving. That'd be pretty pathetic, in my opinion. You also want to kind of look for food that's already growing out there, such as apple trees, orchards, such as that, because that way you can keep coming back to these places. They grow year-round. Sometimes some plants do. So always be looking out for plants that are edible, and again, ration them out. Water, you can find water anywhere. You can use lake water, tap water, anything of that sort, even the water gallons in stores. However, you do want to distill the water. If you don't distill the water, you're going to get sick, and again, slowing down the group. You don't want to be moving slowly. You always want to be moving fast, especially because most likely the typical zombie that'll be is a zombie that can move at a full human capacity. So that's sprinting and has pretty decent strength. So you never want to be slowed down. To distill water, there are several ways that you can do that. One of which is you can actually put the water in like a plastic bag or something and hang it from a tree, and the sun will literally bake it and kill any type of germs and bacteria in it. You can also, if you have time to make a campfire, you can put it all in a pot and then do it that way. If you do it that way though, make sure that the fire is low. You don't want zombies to be able to see it, because if they see it, they're going to wonder what it is and they're going to go after it. And zombies are relentless, so once they spot you, they're going to keep coming at you. So those are just a couple of ways. Always be wary of distilling water. Water could also be good for cooking, so you always want to try and find food and water as best as possible. Now, two main professions that you really want to look out for are distilling and farming. Distilling, I'm not talking about alcohol and so you can get drunk and all that and party. Distilling would be very helpful for distilling water, obviously, as well as if you can distill, you can create just about any liquid. You can even then create alcohol, siphon it, and use it for fuel in a car or anything of that sort. That way you get away faster, and you always have it. So distilling is a great profession to have during the apocalypse. Farming is another useful tool with the apocalypse for the sole fact that you can grow stuff. However, since you'll always be on the move, it would have to be quick stuff. The farming is mostly for after the apocalypse. You always have to be thinking about afterwards, because if everyone survives, now the world is in shambles, everything needs to restart, and if people don't have professions, no one's going to survive. So you want to try and pick up on certain professions, and these are also things that you can trade with other survivors, is the fact that, hey, I know how to distill, here's this, hey, I know how to farm, here's this. So you always want to be on the lookout for useful skills and abilities to use both during and afterwards. And so, with that, that is basically how you survive the zombie apocalypse. I'd like to thank you for your time, and thank you for listening to it. I know that a lot of people don't think it might happen, but in all reality, there is the possibility, and I'd rather have you guys prepared than not prepared, because I really want to see you guys after the apocalypse. If you ever get a chance to, I would definitely talk to me about talking to my cousin Brian. He's one of the most interesting people you'll ever meet, by far the most interesting person to talk to. He knows everything about zombies, and it is a little scary. I absolutely love this topic, and it was awesome to talk to you guys about it, learn more, easy research, and as a whole, the project was just awesome. So, thank you again.